A continuity or association plan for your business?
Has anyone shared the concept of sustainability with you?
What about the need to protect the rights of minority shareholders?
What are those ingredients germane to having effective meetings?
For these and many more, tune into Corporate Governance Platform every Thursday on MITV, your darling station, on DSTV 255 and UHF 43 at 4:30 p.m.
Corporate Governance Platform is your best medium for informative and educative strategies for the practice of the corporate governance profession.
Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.
Many thanks for joining us on your favorite program, Corporate Governance Platform, proudly brought to you by the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals. I'm coming to you live from MITV in Lagos. I am Tunde Odeyemi, and in today's episode, we want to look at the role of ethics in business and its influence on corporate brand. And I have with me right here in the studio my very respected and respectable guest, Lady NWABUIKE. She will be leading the conversation on the role of ethics. Lady NWABUIKE graduated from the University of Lagos with bachelor's degree in education. She has a master's degree in business administration with specialization in human resources management from Lagos State University, and she is currently pursuing another master's of business administration, MBA, at the University of East London, United Kingdom. She has worked in various sectors of the Nigerian economy over the last 20 years. And currently, she is a director at Globelec Power Solutions. She is a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, and she is serving on the Governing Council of the Institute as well as two council committees, the Nomination and Governance Committee and the Implementation and Monitoring Committee. Lady NWABUIKE has attended several trainings both locally and internationally, and she has just completed a course with the Harvard Business School. Lady NWABUIKE, we are so much delighted to have you on Corporate Governance Platform.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
And thanks for finding time to come again on the program. And remember, you've been here once on the program, right?
Yes, I have.
Okay. We want to discuss the role of ethics in business and, of course, its influence on corporate brand.
Yes.
And at this point in time, I would like to also invite our viewers to partake of this program by sending text message to ask questions or to make comments on the program. The number to send the text message to is 080-2323-1287. I take that again, 080-2323-1287. And please, when you send your text message, please be kind enough to put down your name on it so that we can read that out. Yeah, we are discussing the role of ethics. You know, we can never push away ethics from business.
Yes,
right. I would like to kickstart this conversation by asking, what really is ethics?
Okay, so ethics can be simply defined as the moral guiding principles that help us in taking decisions, the right decisions in whatever we do in life. And it's usually characterized by ethical behaviors such as honesty, integrity, respect for human rights, equity, fairness, and all kind of behavior that can be tailored towards being good.
Okay. How then does ethical culture relate to corporate governance?
I would want to say that ethical culture is one of the pillars of corporate governance.
Okay.
Now, simply, when people ask me to define what corporate governance is, I want to say in a very simple manner that it's doing the right thing at the right time in such a way that you follow the laid down processes and procedures that have been developed in an ethical manner, which means that it encompasses honesty, integrity, fairness, respect for human rights, so that at the end of the day, whether we find ourselves in the world or in the corporate environment, we're sure that we're going to leave a sustainable community, a sustainable organization behind.
Okay. we know what ethics is, and we know how it relates to corporate governance. Then, how does ethics bring about a very sound corporate brand?
I would, in tweaking that question, I would say that would you rather want to be known for doing bad? Would an organization rather want to be known for doing bad? And so for any organization that stands itself out as doing good all the time, there is no how that organization's brand will not be promoted. I mean, it's always there in the public face that you're always doing good all the time. And it will surprise you to note that, there are some organizations that even though their products, the products they sell are more expensive, for the fact that they are known as an ethical organization, people would rather, go with that brand than go with a brand that is not known to be ethical. So ethics also drives brand promotion and helps the company to grow.
Okay, this is going to take me to, as a follow-up to what you have said, what then is the relationship between ethics, the reputation of a company, and investors' confidence?
That's in today's world where we talk about sustainability, where we talk about social impact investing, you cannot take ethics away now from investors' confidence. Because, we must remember that the key objective of any shareholder is to make money from the company, from the business. And so in today's world, where we have investors who are looking at investing in companies that have very good reputation, that they can go to bed at night, and sleep and be sure that they're not going to wake up tomorrow and have their company splashed all over the social media that they've done things that are wrong. Okay. Those are the kind of companies now that investors are looking at, that they have confidence that they can put their money into this business and they're sure that nothing would go wrong. So at this point in time now where we are in, sustainability is what the world is talking about, and you cannot take away ethical behavior from sustainability and social impact investing. And so nowadays, investors are looking at investing in companies that have sound ethical culture, that they can put their money in and they are sure that their reputation will not be damaged.
Okay, so investors are looking for companies that have sound ethical culture. Okay, the board of directors of company are required to model top-down commitments towards ethical standard. Mm-hmm. Now, what is the reason for this? And what is the role of the management in achieving this?
Now, if you go back to the NCCG 2018, the first principle actually addresses is that the board has been set up to help build, a company that is entrepreneurial, but as also aside from that the board is to set leadership standards, and also ethical standards for the organizations that they lead. Now, in terms of setting these ethical standards, the board cannot be setting a standard and then, setting a standard on one hand and then preaching a different message on the other hand. So they must walk the talk. So in leading an organization, you must be seen to walk that talk of what you're asking your management or your employees to do. So it must come from top down and then it cascades down to management and then to other employees. Now, what's management's role in this? Now, management is to help the board, which has set, very importantly, ethical policies. It's really important that organizations now must begin to ask themselves, what kind of policies do we have that addresses ethical issues in the company? For instance, the code of conduct for doing business, anti-bribery and corruption policies, conflict of interest policies, treatment of others. There are so many ethical policies that you have. The role of management is now to take those policies, ensure that employees are trained in those policies so that nobody is found wanting. And I'll give you a typical example. of what some organizations that I know do. When they're recruiting, in fact, immediately an employee is engaged in the company. As part of the onboarding process for that employee, the employee is taken through an induction of ethics. It's taken through, and so you will not say you're not aware of the ethical policies of the company. And then some other organizations also make it a part of their policy that every year, and management drives those processes, that every year the employees in the organizations are trained and retrained on the policies, and they are made to sign compliance forms. So this commits not just members of the board, but also employees at the lowest level.
Even the list of the employees?
Yes, the list of the employees are committed to the ethical standards and ethical culture that the organization has.
Wow. If you are just joining us, it's Corporate Governance Platform, and we are discussing the role of ethics in business and its influence on corporate brand. I would like to also make a reference to the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance 2018. You mentioned it the other time. In the company's Code of Business Conduct and Ethics, there is this particular provision. I would like to read it.
Yes.
That directors should not make improper or prejudicial use of information acquired as directors, and not disclose, and they are.
Do you have continuity or association plan for your business?
Has anyone shared the concept of sustainability with you?
What about the need to protect the rights of minority shareholders?
What are those ingredients germane to having effective meetings?
For these and many more, tune into Corporate Governance Platform every Thursday on MITV, your darling station, on DSTV 255 and UHF 43 at 4:30 p.m.
Corporate Governance Platform is your best medium for informative and educative strategies for the practice of the corporate governance profession.
Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.
You are welcome back. It's still Corporate Governance Platform, proudly brought to you by ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals, and coming to you live from MITV. And we are discussing the role of ethics in business and its influence on corporate brand. And I still have with me right in the studio, Lady NWABUIKE, leading in the conversation. Before we went on break, you talked about the directors, a provision of the code,
yes,
and how directors need to guide information. And let me now ask another question concerning directors. Should a director serve in a competing company even after disclosure to the board? And what are the risks to the company if peradventure a director is serving in a competing company in the same sector?
Yes.
Now, if we have a director that is serving in different companies in the same sector, what are the likely risks or the inherent risks to the company?
Honestly, that's an ethical issue, and it's not something that would be recommended for any director to do, that you have left where you're working and then you're serving in a competing organization. I mean, for the director, he might have the best of interest.
Okay.
That is the honest truth. A director might have the best of interest in the sense that he feels that, oh, when I come on this board, I am not going to be doing anything against the organization that I have worked in. But you can never know, you know, it could be that for some reason, and just out of maybe intuition or something, he's asked a question, and from previous experience of what he has done in the previous company, which is a competitor, he also offers that same kind of information, you know, to his current board. And irrespective of whether, you know, he has left the other organization to be in this new one, it's still confidentiality that is being leaked. So he has taken information which shouldn't even be public knowledge, even though he has disclosed it in his board that, okay, I'm coming from this organization to here, but the damage he's doing to the other company is of far-reaching effects. So it's usually advised, you know, that when you're moving from one organization to the other, it's best usually if you don't go to a
competing.
But I mean, that's usually very hard because we see this movement regularly. So it is for the director and the board that he's currently serving to constantly checkmate the kind of information that he as a director provides to that board, so that the board doesn't run into problems with the organization where he has left.
Okay, Paraventure is not using that information for a competing company. If a director resigns or retired, for instance, can he use confidential information for his own personal benefits? He's no longer on the board.
Yes.
But can he use information from that company for his own personal benefits? What's the ethical issue there?
Well, it actually depends on what his contract with the previous organization is. So what I know is that many organizations usually put a clause in your contract that even after you have resigned, you cannot use information that you have received from us for a certain number of years, whether it's for your personal benefit or for another organization, you know. So it depends really on what contract he has signed with the organization he has left. However, like I said, because you can never know the far-reaching effect of whatever information you are disclosing to the public or using for your own personal benefit, it is advised that before you share such information or use it, it's better to get clarification from whether the board that you've currently left or the board that you're serving on before you use such information. Otherwise, I mean, you could get the hammer hit on you.
Okay, is it also proper for, like you said the other time, that it is important for companies to have ethical policy? Is it also proper to have some of these rules laid down in the ethical policies?
Yes, it is. I mean, for many companies, they have it as part of their policies. Some boards will have it as part of their board charter. Like I said, some directors will have it as part of their contract. Not even necessarily directors, even senior management employees. I know that some organizations who have worked, senior management employees have this kind of clauses in their contract. Some organizations will state it categorically that you cannot work for a competing firm.
Okay.
Whether it's difficult, whether it's easy for them to checkmate that, you know, is a different story. But they have it in their clauses when you're signing on. And you know, after you've resigned and you said, oh, I mean, it's all done and dusted, I've resigned, I can walk away from it. It's not that easy. I've had some issues where we have senior management staff who have walked away from their previous company thinking that nobody is looking at them, and they joined a competing company, you know. And then the company that they worked for came back to them to say, look, this is what you signed with us. And honestly, at that point, you know, the company that they just joined, the new company, was like, you need to go and sort yourself out with your previous company before we can finally bring you on board.
It's a serious ethical issue.
Yes, it is.
Okay, let's take this further. What's the relationship between ethics and social responsibility? And of course, by extension, sustainability.
Okay, so some people tend to mix everything up and say that ethics is the same thing as social responsibility, and social responsibility is the same thing as.
Can I say a little bit about the mix-up? People think that being socially responsible is being ethical.
Yes.
So you clear it for us.
Okay, so yes, actually, being socially responsible is being ethical.
Okay.
It's good ethical practice, but it is not ethics in itself.
Okay.
What I would say is that ethics drives social responsibility.
Okay.
Now, social responsibility is being a good citizen, help contributing to communities where you do business to help them grow, to help them become more sustainable, to help them develop. Now, no board or no individual will want to practice good citizenship without being an ethical person. You must have ethics driving you, because what did I say ethics is? It has to do with honesty, it has to do with integrity, it has to do with equality, it has to do with fairness. And especially when you come to social responsibility, you're talking of fairness, because you're taking out of that community where where you're doing your business, and it's only fair that you give back, And so when you have talked of fairness, ethics now comes in, and linking it back now to sustainability is social responsibility is not sustainability, it is only a part of sustainability, because sustainability is a bigger topic on its own. So social responsibility is just one of the key drivers of sustainability in the social aspect of sustainability, but it's not the same thing as sustainability.
Okay, you talked about fairness the other time. What should a company do? This is a very practical question. What should a company do if profitability is at variance with ethical consideration?
If profitability is at variance with ethical consideration, I think one of the things, I will throw a rhetorical question, would you rather lose everything you have in the company because you did you went through an unethical practice, and so the business shuts down?
You went through an unethical practice to make profit.
To make profit, the business shuts down. There is no profit coming. There is no business. So does it make sense? It doesn't make sense at the end of the day. So it's always best. Yes, we know that businesses are set up to make profit, but in making that profit, you must remember that this business should remain sustainable. It should remain a going concern, and the best way to do that is also always to have ethical practices, ethical culture, which is ingrained in the fabric of the organization as part of your culture, and run with it, so that at every point in time you are not found wanting, and then the business itself doesn't go down, so that shareholders don't come after the directors and say, they don't want.
It has nothing to do with profitability. It has nothing to do with profitability. Just follow the ethical policies that you have laid down for the company.
Yes. Sometimes it's easier said than done. That's the actual truth. It's easier said than done, but the directors must remember that they have a fiduciary duty to the organization, to the company, and they must follow that fiduciary duty, to ensure that they leave the business as a going concern.
Okay, what is your advice to companies, private sectors and the public sector, on how to entrench good corporate culture in their organizations?
First of all, I want to say that ethical practice is not just for private sector, it is also for public sector. In as much as we believe that things might not be so workable here in Nigeria, but I always say that where there is a will, there is a way. So if we make that will, we will make that way even in the public sector. And the first thing to do is to ensure that the board or the leadership of the organization has corporate governance entrenched, in their fabrics of the organization. How is that? Through the board, through the various policies they have, through the various processes and procedures that they have. So I would always encourage all organizations, no matter how small you are, start with having the right policies in place. Let the directors start with having the right policies in place. Let management drive these policies with their employees, so that everybody, like I said, no matter how small, lowly placed you are in the organization, it becomes a way of life for you. When we talk of ethical culture, it is a way of life for the people. It becomes a way of life for everybody in the organization.
Ethics should become a way of life for everybody in the organization. I'll take this last one before I release you. Does ICSAN conduct training on ethics? And the other aspect to that question is that, can ICSAN also assist organizations in putting together ethics policies?
Don't forget that we are the hub of corporate governance.
Okay.
And being the hub of corporate governance, everything that has to do with corporate governance goes along with ICSAN. So we do conduct trainings in ethics, and being governance professionals, once we are called upon, and we do ask members of the public to call on us, and we're always ready to provide service in putting together whatever policies and procedures and processes organizations need to help them to build an ethical culture and to build a strong corporate governance framework.
Thank you very much, Lady NWABUIKE. You have had it all. Make ethics a way of life. And of course, if you desire to have policies on ethics, you can as well consult ICSAN. We want to thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
And for sharing your thoughts on ethics.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Okay, this is where we wrap it up today. We invite you to join us again next week. Same station, same time. I remain Tunde Odeyemi. Keep spreading the gospel of corporate governance and keep being ethical. Bye for now.
Do you have continuity or association plan for your business?
Has anyone shared the concept of sustainability with you?
What about the need to protect the rights of minority shareholders?
What are those ingredients germane to having effective meetings?
For these and many more, tune into Corporate Governance Platform every Thursday on MITV, your darling station, on DSTV 255 and UHF 43 at 4:30 p.m.
Corporate Governance Platform is your best medium for informative and educative strategies for the practice of the corporate governance profession.
Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.